Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to another weather forecast. This will actually be my first video kind of using a webcam. I hope you guys do enjoy this. I probably won't do this every single video, but I'm going to be trying to maybe do webcams once in a while. See if you guys like that and all of that. But here in today's video, we're going to be checking out, as you can see, Invest 92, possibly whether it can become Hurricane Isaias, and maybe if it can make a U.S. landfall. That's exactly what we're going to be looking at. Florida and North Carolina are really my main concerns for this storm for U.S. landfall-wise, but models are showing a variety of really tracks, a variety of intensity. So really, as of now, we don't have a huge idea of exactly where it will go or exactly what strength. That's the only thing that sucks about long track storms, but it has updated to an 80% chance for developing as a tropical storm within the next 48 hours. We're going to like the timing, the cone, and all of that. But before we get into the video, please subscribe if you're new, and also be sure to hit the post notification icon, and also like the video if you've not already done so. So as you see here, we are looking at the Atlantic Hurricane National Hurricane Center forecast for the next 5 days. And as you see right here, the Invest 92L, as you see, we got a 80% chance for the next 48 hours. So it could very well be named Isaias within the next 48 hours, depending if the atmospheric conditions do improve, as this does not look impressive on satellite imagery, but it's getting there, and it has almost a guaranteed possibility for developing within the next 5 days here. So it's a 90% chance for the next 5 days. As you see, kind of tell where the circle is, where it can possibly be named. It has kind of slowly but surely has moved north within the past updates now. So maybe it may or may not avoid Puerto Rico and then possibly either hit the North Carolina area or maybe even Florida. North Carolina and Florida are the main states that are focused here for a landfall. It's either going to be Florida or either going to be North Carolina. I know that seems like a huge difference, and it is really, but it all depends on what the ridge wants to do here and what the high pressure or the Bermuda high wants to do here. But really, if you're in Florida, especially southern Florida, I wouldn't say be ready. I'm just going to say just watch the video and just be prepared, and don't be surprised if something is heading your way. Same thing with North Carolina. So there is now the 5-day tropical weather outlook here. Short mention as well, we also now have Hurricane Douglas that actually did not make landfall in Hawaii, but it actually is still bringing in quite the strong winds here, gusts, and also flooding for the northern Hawaiian Islands. Here's looking at the SSTs here, or sea surface temperatures for the western Atlantic. As you see, this is really the region the system will be going in within the next coming days. Here, the Leeward Islands right here in the U.S. Virgin Islands, you guys are going to be at the first at stake for the storm. Now, next will be Puerto Rico, possibly even the Bahamas. After that, then we have possibly southern Florida or maybe the Wilmington area, if not the Outer Banks. Really, I know that's a huge difference. How can it go from here to maybe even going to there? That's exactly what we're looking at, whether it will take that northeastern turn sooner or will it do it later. If it does earlier, then that's exactly when it's going to be heading this way. Then it'll go like this if it goes a sooner turn. But if it goes a lot more to the west, like models are showing, it's going to possibly do that south or that northeastern turn a little too late, and it's going to make landfall possibly in Florida, and then like that. That's maybe what can possibly happen. You know, we aren't going to be seeing a Dorian strength, but we can maybe see a Dorian track where maybe it does go to the Bahamas like this and maybe doesn't make landfall. Maybe the southeastern turn kind of happens right there, and then maybe that's when we maybe have a Carolina landfall. You know, models are still showing this to go like this or like that, but gradually the models have slowly but surely moved it to the west. I do expect a U.S. landfall. It's just a matter of time of where it will make landfall. I'm not going to give a personal opinion. I want to say I think North Carolina has a better chance for landfall, if that makes sense, but models are all over the place there, so really can't have a for sure answer. But really extremely favorable conditions if it does head towards the southeastern coast of that 31 degrees Celsius. If it does actually go like this, that would be a big favorable area for maybe a huge jump. I wouldn't say RI wise, I just mean a huge strength and possibilities. And then we have 29 degrees, 28 degrees Celsius for portions of the southern Bahamas. You know, those aren't the warmest waters, but it's favorable to sustain a hurricane. but really a huge cone really for this storm. Honestly, just look at this. This is possibly the cone really. That's actually a very possibly one of the best cones or not the best cone. That's probably just the best cone I just did in first try. But now let's go and check out satellite imagery on 92L. So here's a look on this thing on satellite imagery, and as you see, this thing is gradually looking a little better. Obviously, doesn't look the most organized. We do have a little system right here, or a little part of the cloud cover right here. This isn't just the invest. This whole cloud cover really right here is the invest. So as you see, it is not the most organized invest. It is getting a little bit more vorticity or cyclonic rotation, which may or may not maybe have a lot more convection by the end of today. Let's go check out long wave IR to see exactly whether this convection is extremely strong or if it's gradually getting better. Really, it doesn't really look like anything really necessarily, but just give it time. Check out water vapor. This is where it really begins to look really good on water vapor right here. That's part of the invest. You know, just give it time. This is exactly why it still has it doesn't have to form today as a tropical storm. It has an 80% chance for the next 48 hours and then a 90 for the next 5 days. So really just give it time for this storm to actually develop. It doesn't have to be rushed really. Let's go now and check out the tracks here to actually move my screen a little bit like that. So here's the tracks. So as you see, this is X marks the spot right there, and as you see, this thing's a really long track storm. This thing has as up to possibly next week, 7 days. Let's go and refresh to see if there's any major updates here on the tracks. Okay, so this is actually the new update here. As you see, yesterday, models were all over right here, not really showing landfall necessarily. Only a couple, one or two, were showing landfall. But now look at this. Models have gradually pushed a little bit more to the west. The Bermuda high could be really kind of gradually pushing it right there. And we're going to be seeing some very favorable conditions in this area. But look at this right here. A lot of the models start actually showing making landfall in the Bahamas. Really what models were showing earlier yesterday, we're showing kind of avoiding the Bahamas and then going like that, avoiding the Outer Banks or North Carolina. Now they're kind of going over the Bahamas, whether it's the big island or the smaller islands, and a lot more models now are showing it actually getting a lot closer to Florida. And maybe if they, let's say there's two outcomes. It goes like this to the south and hits, let's say, southern Florida. If that doesn't happen, and the southeastern turn, or sorry, that northeastern turn happens, then it's going to avoid Florida, but then you have the North Carolina right there. That's exactly why North Carolina and Florida are kind of the only threats, really. You're not going to be seeing kind of like just going like that into Georgia. You're not going to kind of see that just like that into South Carolina. If there will be any threats for South Carolina, it will be near the Wilmington and the border little area. That would be kind of it. The GEF tracks in central pressure here as well. They also have gradually moved a lot more to the west. You know, barely any models or any of these were showing a single touch of land here. But now, look at this. A lot of the models on the other side of the cone are really all showing maybe a landfall. Whether it's Florida here or whether it's the Outer Banks. As you see on the GEF tracks, a lot more showing North Carolina. But these tracks aren't the most, let's just say, accurate or the most reliable. But I can actually agree with this hitting the Wilmington area or the Outer Banks, North Carolina in general, whether it's going to hit the Outer Banks and go like this, or whether it's going to go into further inland areas and like that. Really, that's kind of, we have to wait a little bit. But all we can really say is that we are expecting it to move into the western Atlantic and possibly, most likely, make a landfall in the United States, whether it's Miami, whether it's West Palm Beach, whether it's Wilmington, Kitty Hawk, other areas in the Outer Banks. That's kind of where we are maybe seeing a potential landfall here. Now let's go and check out now a more detailed and a kind of closer zoomed in track here. So here's a new update. As you see, really a lot of models are now showing it going north of Puerto Rico. It goes north of Puerto Rico and it kind of heads towards the Bahamas right there. You can kind of see going straight towards the Bahamas. That'll be the favorable conditions for maybe hitting the North Carolina area. But if it kind of goes like this, just getting Puerto Rico like that, that's where we're going to bring a threat for Florida. So it's all depending on where it goes on Puerto Rico. If it goes south of Puerto Rico, let's say like that, then definitely going to affect Florida most likely. But if it goes like north of Puerto Rico like this, and then does that northeastern turn later on, then the North Carolina threat really. even if it actually goes north of Florida, or if it goes north of Puerto Rico, we could still maybe have a Florida threat, really. It's just not as big as a potential for a landfall probability, really. But also, intensity guidance here. Obviously, it's still far out, so this won't be 100% accurate. Models are showing it now, saying as a tropical storm. Could be a tropical storm within the next 24 hours. So really, we can see a tropical depression by the end of today, or sorry, not by the end of today, by maybe the next coming hours. I don't see it becoming a tropical depression as far as the evening. I think that's a little too late. I could definitely see this becoming a tropical depression by maybe, let's see, it's 11:30 right here. Maybe by the 2 o'clock update, something like that. I could definitely see a tropical depression there. It may not be the most organized tropical depression, but it's going to be soon. As early as the next 18 hours for a tropical storm to as late as the next 48 hours. So this will definitely form within the next 48 hours, and it's going to be skyrocketing strength. And obviously, as we get closer, the intensity guidance may go lower or may go higher. I expect this to go higher than a Category 1, really. I think conditions are pretty favorable. Even though models are all over the place on intensity guidance, some models, GFS, for example, shows becoming a tropical storm and then falling apart because dry air. CMC shows it strengthening to maybe a Category 2 and skidding the Outer Banks. NavGem should maybe be in a Category 3 and hitting Florida. So it's a huge variety, really. So it's kind of hard to really give you a straight-up answer on intensity-wise. I'm just going to tell you I do definitely see this becoming a hurricane. So here is now the Invest 92L track, the past track here, and even currently. So as it did, it came off the tropical wave off the coast of Africa. Look how far it's traveled already. This is actually a very fast-moving storm. I'm actually not going to lie. It's very fast-moving. This is where it is as of today in 12Z. And there you see it moving right there across the whole tropical Atlantic there with that pretty big tropical wave. So here it is. X marks the spot where it is right there. And we are maybe, let me just show you the two outcomes I kind of think. And this is actually from the University of Miami, which is a very accurate source. Obviously, they're very good at trumpets, just like FSU. So basically, it's either going to maybe go hit the Leeward Islands, maybe just skin the Puerto Rico area. That's a possibility. But for some reason, I feel really confident in this hitting North Carolina. It's going to go like this, and that's going to go like this. That's kind of the two outcomes I'm thinking of, right? This is where it kind of separates, right near Puerto Rico. This is kind of where they separate. They're like, okay, I'll see you later. That's kind of where they separate, at that Puerto Rico mark, and that's when they start turning around or separating from each other, really. So definitely a long track storm all the way from Africa to the U.S., so that's quite a long track storm here, and a very long-lived storm, which is exactly why this will definitely be long track storms, just like Gonzalo, even though Gonzalo didn't become a hurricane. Gonzalo, the intensity guidance was all over the place, so with the track, it was either going to hit Florida, it was either going to get in the Gulf, Cancun, all of that. Same thing here, except I definitely do think this could be a little more, I have a lot more confidence, really. National Hurricane Center has a ton of confidence in this, really, for forming, and it just came right off the coast of Africa and already had a 20% chance, and now it's already at a 90% chance. So definitely very confident this storm possibly could become a named storm, if also maybe in a hurricane. Here's a look now at the NavGem. I'm actually not going to really be looking at the GFS. I will be looking at GFS, but not now. GFS really, it hasn't been the most accurate ever since, let's see, ever since Gonzalo, or actually Gonzalo, it's been really bad with Gonzalo and Hannah, and it's going to be really bad with this. I can't say it's going to be bad with this because it hasn't happened yet. I just don't think the GFS is accurate as of what, in my opinion, and other people's opinions of my group chat. They all agree, really, that the GFS is kind of really under-hyping it or under-forecasting it. So as you see, the NavGem in the next 42 hours right here, possibly bringing in around 52 knots, 55 knots here. So actually, it tells me right here, actually, yep, around 55 knots in the next 42 hours. And as you see, it's going to get a big, very big storm, possibly going to bring in, sorry, not knots, this is miles an hour, not 52 knots, this is miles an hour. That's my bad. Right here, going to be going just north of the Leeward Islands, and maybe affecting a couple islands there, including the U.S. Virgin Islands, bringing in around 65 miles an hour, just under 75, really. And then this is where it becomes a really big threat. As you can tell, it kind of fully circulates around the eye walls, and that's where you see that very well-defined eye. Here it is at 985 millibars. Seems that the high pressures and Bermuda highs kind of bringing in, kind of making Florida the so-called target. Basically, Florida is the, let's just say, magnet, really. It's the magnet, and it's attracting Isaias, or soon to be Isaias, next maybe 24 to 36 hours. And then look at this, next 121 hours, this is August 1st, possibly bringing it around 80 miles an hour, maybe just over 80 miles an hour. And then look, it heads straight for Florida, and it organizes a lot. Obviously, this is very far out, so don't take this one with 100%. So don't like start getting milk right now if you live in Southern Florida, because this is only one model. Only kind of one model shows this. Other models show hitting North Carolina or kind of just falling apart, like really like the GFS. So don't get super scared with this right now. This is just a model, and it could change. And then it shows by August 2nd, maybe reaching that 96 mile an hour mark. So category 2 likely, possibly there, and that's going to be heading straight for the Florida area. Now let's go and check out the weathermodels.com. So here's a look at now the weather models, and as you see, they show this is actually in knots as well. So this is the NCEP or GFS model here, and as you see right here, they are showing around 53 knots, which is around 65 miles an hour, I believe. So not a expert on knots. And this is now August 1st, so I think it's definitely strengthening. This is a second outcome. That's why I'm showing this. The nav gem is showing the Florida outcome. This is the second outcome where it could possibly hit North Carolina. As you see, going to be going just east of the Bahamas, and then boom, it's going to go just to the east of the Bahamas, not hit any land there, and it's going to kind of weaken a little bit. Could be a little dry air that gets in the way, so it's going to weaken the 47 knots. So it's still maintaining that tropical storm force wind, and then it blows up. And as you can see, it starts moving a lot more to the east now. Just look at this. Hold on, just look at this. Or sorry, a lot more to the west. So there it is, right here. Okay. Now watch this. It's gonna go, boom, just like that, because the high pressure system in the ridge is attracting it towards the coast. It's gonna go just like that. A very sharp turn. Look at this. It already at 80 knots. It could be a very strong system here for the North Carolina area, and then it actually possibly goes up to 86 knots, and it's heading now right for North Carolina coast. It's going to be a very scary storm, really. And then it strengthens to possibly 90 knots, so maybe a category 3 as it heads toward the North Carolina coast near the Wilmington area and the Outer Banks, and that's going to be making landfall based on this on August 6th. Going to really hit the Outer Banks, really not going to affect much of more inland areas. It's not going to go inland like Florence, and it's going to go like that and possibly follow up the coast. And as you see, when systems go up this far up north, they move really fast and become twice the size. So this is kind of what we're watching here. Here's looking at the GFS precipitation rate. Let me show you what the GFS is showing, why I don't think it's going to be the most accurate model to look at here. 1,000, I believe that's 1,008 millibars with the next 30 hours there. And then it's going to go just to the north of the Lesser Antilles there, Leeward Islands. It's going to avoid Puerto Rico, and then it just falls apart out of nowhere. Notice 2 days ago showed it making a landfall in Jacksonville as a Category 2 hurricane, and now it shows it not even anything. Look at that. That, I'm telling you guys, if it becomes a bust, I don't think it's going to be that big of a bust. Let's check out the CMC model as well. CMC is agreeable. Let's just say that. 1,007 millibars with the next 42 hours. I don't think it's going to form as fast as the nav gem is showing, but I can definitely see what the nav gem is coming from. I think nav gem is really has something in their hands. I think nav gem really is onto something, and GFS has caught up to it. Here's CMC going to go straight to the air to the Bahamas, and then it looks like it's going to hit Florida. It looks like it does, and that's going to kind of stall a teeny little bit there. You see, not too much, but it's going to kind of slow down. Like a Dorian, you can kind of see like a Dorian resemblance here. You kind of see it's going to go like this, whereas the Florida area kind of slow down, and then not like that. Obviously, Dorian was a lot closer to the coast. It was like this, like that. That's kind of what Dorian was, but this is going to be obviously a bit more to the east. But I didn't see. Looks like it's going to go straight for Florida. It looks like it's going to go straight for Florida. Changes last minute and goes to that northeastern turn. That's exactly why I still think, whether models show going more to the west, I still think that's exactly why this North Carolina is going to be a threat. Even if it looks like it's going to hit straight for Florida, it may change that northeastern turn last minute and follow up the eastern coast. That's exactly what is possible. So let's say let's say that model we looked at the last slide. Let's say it doesn't go like that. It goes does hit the Bahamas. Let's see if it does hit the Bahamas. Maybe it does look like it's going to hit Florida, but may change it last minute, that northeastern turn. That's exactly what the CMC is showing, which is why I say it's agreeable. And it's going to strengthen a lot right there as we have 31 degrees Celsius, 30 degrees Celsius right there. Strengthened to 985 millibars. And it is going to kind of skin the coast, Outer Banks like Arthur did. And then possibly even make landfall at 977 millibars for the New England area. So really the New England area is really got to be on the lookout whether if it does go up the East Coast, then you have to be on the lookout. But if it hits Florida, then you don't. So even the New England area has been being involved with this, really. Quickly check out the icon model. But as you see, really, icon is kind of showing kind of hitting the Leeward Islands, the US Virgin Islands, and maybe showing kind of a CMC-like system, but a little bit more to the south, as you see. And it kind of actually hit Puerto Rico, but then it kind of looks like it's going to go to the north a little bit. That's kind of what we're seeing there. So NavGen's kind of the only model that's still hitting Florida, but I think NavGen's kind of onto something. Last thing we'll be looking at is the 10-meter winds. As you see, GFS kind of showing really starting to strengthen, and it just falls apart, really. As you see, it looks like it's going to be really, it looks like it's going to be promising, then falls apart there. CMC, let's check out CMC 10-meter winds. CMC is kind of showing possibly around 40-50 miles an hour, kind of weakens as it goes over the areas of the Bahamas, mountainous areas, maybe some dry air, and then strengthens a lot right gets to the areas of the Outer Banks. Icon model kind of doing its own thing, really just showing barely anything. So guys, that will wrap up the video. Hope you guys did enjoy the video. I may or may not have another video out this afternoon or evening, but hope you guys enjoyed the video, and bye guys.